guys, today I'm going to go ahead and show you how I've created this super cute floating card in the beginning of the video. I just love it. I love how it turned out. I seen this video on YouTube a while ago on how to make a floating card, and I knew I wanted to create one for you guys to show you, but I just haven't. And once this stamp set Lift Me Up came out through Stampin' Up through the Occasions catalog, I knew that that was the one I was going to do the floating card with. So I'm just going to show you how I went ahead and created this awesome little card. It's pretty simple to do. What you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of string. I'm using fishing line. I purchased this, I think, at Walmart for a couple of dollars. I got the smallest pound test. This one's 4 pound. And you just need just a little bit of it. So this will make a million of those cards, I'm sure. But what we're going to do is you're going to take, I'm using mint macaroon cardstock. So I've just cut this at the A2 size. So, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. So when you go ahead and fold it up, it'll be an A2 card measuring 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I've taken the Designer Series paper Carried Away. This is only free during Sale-A-Bration right now. Sale-A-Brations is going on through March 31st. And with the purchase of $50, pre-tax, pre-shipping, you can pick out a free item out of the Sale-A-Bration catalog. And this was paper that they have in there. So we're using this paper. I've gone ahead and I've cut 2 pieces of it at 4 by 5 1/4. And what you're going to do is we're going to do one on the front and one on the back. And what we're going to do in order for these to stay, we're going to go ahead and take some removable adhesive I have here. You can use the snail adhesive, but I think I purchased this at a craft store a long time ago. You're just going to put a little spot of it on one side. And we're going to make sure it lines up properly. Just kind of center it. And then what you're going to do is make sure when you turn this card over, see how these balloons are all going one way and the baskets are on the bottom. Make sure when you turn the card over that it's the same way, because you don't want your designer paper to be cut out one upside down and one not. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the inside card. And just center it kind of in the circle. That's why I scored the card, so I would know where the card fold is. So once you have that where you want it, then you're just going to take your, this is from the layering circle framelits through Stampin' Up. This is the largest circle in there. If you don't have these, you can use another die cut that you have, or your Cricut machine. If you have a Cricut machine, you can go ahead and just cut a circle through both of your papers with that. That's up to you how you want to do that. Then what you're going to do is, what I do, because I do not have the magnetic base for my Big Shot yet, the plate, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of line this up to where I want the circle cut out. And then I'm going to use some Scotch tape and just kind of anchor it down so it doesn't move. And then we're just going to run this through the Big Shot. And this should cut out all 3 layers here and give you that nice frame for your hot air balloon. So we'll just go ahead, we'll run that through. And what I'll do is I'll run it through and then I'll back it up just so that I make sure that it cuts all the layers. And then you just go ahead and set your Big Shot aside. And it should cut out nicely all of your circles. So everything's going to line up now. So what you want to do is just make sure, fold your card right now so you know which side is what. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to kind of give it that nice crease. So then you're going to take your Designer Series paper and your card base. You're going to take one of them for right now. And we're going to put some adhesive on the tops. I'm going to use my Advanced Tape Glider. I've been using this for many years. I love this. And just get a bunch of adhesive up at the top of the circle. And then at the bottom of the circle, make sure you get a lot of adhesive down there. And then you're just going to want to put adhesive all over the paper because we're going to glue this to the front. But you want to make sure you really get a lot at the bottom and the top of the circle, because that's what's going to hold your fishing string down, and that's going to be a moving part to the card. So anytime you have a moving part to a card, you always want to make sure you use the most adhesive and the best sticking adhesive. The card base, you're going to do the same thing on the front of the card. You're going to go to the top of the circle, and you're going to put a bunch of adhesive up there. Same thing, bottom of the circle, do the same thing. Just so you have enough adhesive. And you can use your snail adhesive, you can use your fast fuse, you can use whatever adhesive you have. Then you're going to take your fishing string and you're just going to cut off a section. Make sure it's big enough to go over the front of the card. And we're just going to go ahead and center that. And you want to make sure you pull it tight. And when you have it where you want it, you just take your designer series paper, make sure it is the right way. And you just want to make sure you line up your circle and just glue that to the front of your card. Just like so. And then you can go ahead and do the same thing with your other designer series paper. So once you have your designer series paper glued down on both sides, you're just going to take a pair of scissors and just trim up the fishing line. And then just make sure you press down firmly on your card front so that that string is in there. So what you want to do is just take your mint macaroon paper and you want to go ahead and stamp out your larger hot air balloons on them, and you want to also use the larger balloon die cut to cut these out. Now normally what I'll do is stamp them and then die cut them. For some reason I die cut and then stamped. It's a little bit harder. When you stamp them and then die cut, the balloon is right centered on your paper. You're not cutting off your balloon. Like this one, you can see I cut off part of the balloon, but that's fine. So what you do is you make sure you get plenty of adhesive on the back side of these, and you find your center of your card with the string, and you just place one of the hot air balloons on here so it's not crooked. It's kind of in the center. And then you take your other hot air balloon and you just line that up. And make sure it's lined up before you put it down, or else that adhesive, you're not going to be able to pull that off and readjust. So that's it. That's all there is to the floating card. So simple. Very easy to make. So then I've just gone ahead and I've taken some Whisper White. I cut this Whisper White piece at 1 by 2. And I've just gone ahead and stamped the "You Soar Above the Rest, Congratulations" with Versamark. And then I use some embossing powder to go ahead and emboss that. And then I just kind of, well, the first thing I'm going to do before I tape that down, what I did with this card, you can see it's got the ink around it. I've taken my ink pad, the mint macaroon, and I've just taken my little white piece here. And you can either just dip it straight up and down and it'll give a clean coating of the ink around. I kind of angled it because I wanted like a little bit on the edge going into the white cardstock. So however you want to do it, you don't even have to do this technique. I like it. It kind of gives it a little bit more pop and it doesn't fade into the background. So that's what you'll get when you put the ink around it like that. Just another little trick to kind of pop it up. So I'll just put that right on the front here, right in the center of the balloon. And then I've gone ahead and I've also embossed some clouds and cut those out of my die cutting machine there, the Big Shot. And I've done 2 bigger clouds and one of the small ones. And I'll just take and put them wherever. And I'm using Stampin' Up dimensionals on the back of them. For the little cloud, one Stampin' Up! Dimensional is too big. So you can either take a dimensional and cut it in half. What I've done is I've used my border that the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals come around, that little border there, and I just use that to cut out a little piece there. So they've never wasted any portion of the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. So once you have your clouds on there where you want them, the final thing I did was, to decorate the front, was I just took the metallic enamel shapes, and I took the silver ones, and I've just taken the smallest ones they have, and I put them at the top of the air balloon where the little bubbles kind of meet, I just put them up there, and I put them on the front of the air balloon and on the back of them. This little tool I've had this for many, many years. I got it at the craft store, and it's got a sticky end at one side, and then the other end it's got kind of like a file end and then a pointed end. I use this a lot. Comes in handy. If you don't have something like this, you can just use like your bone folder or work, or a pair of tweezers if you have them. And then on the inside of the card, what I did was I cut out a piece of Whisper White, and I cut this out at 5 by 3 3/4. And in the stamp set, there's a little wispy like cloud, and I've just stamped that in the corner of each of them. And then I'll just take my snail adhesive and just kind of glue that down, center it in the middle of the card. So it's really, really cute little card. Everything coordinates. It's real simple to put together.